It began with a question from the community that seemed almost too stunning to be true. Had the mayor of Auburn really intervened on the behalf of a youth pastor who had just pleaded guilty to raping a child? The answer was yes. Mayor Nancy Backus gave her support to Joshua Obadiah Headley. But what we discovered was a story far more complex than a single letter. It's a story of questionable judgment and a network of civic leaders who appeared to look the other way, allowing Headley to be celebrated by the Auburn Chamber of Commerce before he went to prison, and then again almost immediately after his release as he operated under a new identity. The investigation itself raised troubling questions about coordination. At 4 p.m. on Friday, October 3rd, KIRO Newsradio sent a list of confidential questions to Mayor Backus and only Mayor Backus. Just 29 hours later, Joshua Headley sent an unsolicited email to this reporter, writing, "I understand there may be a news story coming out." When asked to explain this timeline, Mayor Backus adamantly denied any contact. The mayor offered no alternative explanation for the timeline or who could have notified Headley about the confidential media inquiry that was sent to the mayor alone. Two different pastors from Auburn have been tracking this case for years. Their names are Cheryl Olson and LaShonda Lambert.
I have a lot of friends, but no rapist friends. I was blown away that they felt there was so little accountability that they could go on as if it never happened.
To understand the weight of the mayor's intervention, you first must understand the crime. According to prosecutors, Joshua Headley, then a 27-year-old pastor at Auburn's Northwest Family Church, groomed and assaulted a 15-year-old girl he was mentoring. Soon after, Headley left that church. The rape was reported to Auburn police in 2018. According to the police report, when confronted with the evidence, the 27-year-old pastor claimed the 15-year-old girl he was mentoring was, in his words, very flirtatious and would get up in your business with her body. He told police she was known in the church as a girl that got around. A 27-year-old and a 15-year-old. This was his explanation to police for why a girl in his spiritual care would make up allegations of rape. But Headley did not lie low. During this investigation, Headley applied to become a chaplain for the very same police department, the Auburn Police Department, that was investigating him. In January 2020, he was formally charged with rape of a child in the 3rd degree. That same month, he shot video for the Miss Auburn and Miss Auburn Teen pageants. In November 2020, while awaiting trial, the Auburn Area Chamber of Commerce presented his organization, his new church, Revive Church, with its Nonprofit of the Year award. By May of 2022, with Headley's guilty plea just weeks away, Pastor Lambert says he called Mayor Backus with an urgent warning.
What I told her was, I've read the police report. It is horrible. It is sickening. And she assured me that was not her. She had no knowledge of it. She did not know everything, like full stop. We're going to make sure that we're not affiliated. And later on, we find out that's not the case.
And just 1 month later, that assurance would prove hollow. On June 22nd, 2022, Headley emailed Mayor Backus at her city account, asking for her private email, saying he needed to communicate with her about a more personal matter. She quickly provided it.
When I first read the email that I got through a FOIA request, that he had requested the mayor to write a letter, and it was really, hey, can we talk about something personal? Can I have your private email? And I thought, man, you understand how to play the game. It was the first thing I felt inside of my spirit was, you're at least aware enough to ask for this through a means that isn't accessible through a FOIA request. Like there's some level of calculation there.
4 months later, Mayor Backus sent her personal declaration via email to Headley's attorney. The draft represents her initial thinking. She praised his community work extensively, then made her plea. While I realize that Josh has pled guilty to the charges that were filed against him, I am asking the court for treatment for Josh versus jail/prison time. The court heard a starkly different perspective. The victim wrote, "This case has impacted me by showing me that abusers have more rights than the victims."
I was unsurprised that she would write a letter in recommendation, like for him, like as someone who knows him, but to ask for no jail time, that really shocked me.
The judge sentenced Headley to 13 months, which prosecutors tell us is at the high end of the sentencing range. Headley served only 6 months. His return was apparently welcomed with open arms by not only the chamber, but the business and civic community in Auburn. Just 2 months after his May 2023 release, a new business, Seeley Media, was formed. His name appears nowhere on the state license. He rebranded himself as Jay Seeley.
My name is Seeley, and I am the Chief Creative Officer for Seeley Media.
Notably, under Washington law, registered sex offenders must report any aliases within 3 business days. Failure to comply is a felony. It appears there was a nearly 2-year gap between when Headley began using the Seeley alias and when it was added to the registry. According to the King County Sheriff's Office, the aliases weren't added until March 17, 2025, after a tip was received.
That they were no longer going by their name that was on the registered sex offender registry. And so that part for me was just like, how does no one have a problem with it?
And under this new identity, he immediately began monetizing his old connections. Public Disclosure Commission filings confirm Seeley Media received payments from up to 24 political campaigns and committees. Perhaps most concerning is Seeley Media was hired to help produce videos and social media for the Yes for Yelm Schools levy campaign. It included producing videos with teenage students. By May of 2024, Seeley Media was a celebrated sponsor and nominee at the Auburn Area Chamber of Commerce's Spotlight Awards. The decision was made while it appears his wife was serving on the chamber's board. Auburn isn't a big city. In 2020, as Headley was awaiting trial for child rape, the Chamber of Commerce gave him an award. In 2022, he pleaded guilty to the child rape charges. In 2023, he gets out of prison and changes his name to Jay Seeley, at least on a professional basis. In 2024, he's still fresh out of prison using this alias. The chamber nominates him for a new award under this new name. Did they not recognize him? His wife was serving on the board at the time. Did no one make the connection? Via email, we asked the chamber directly, did you know Jay Seeley was Joshua Headley?
So one of the things about platforms, right, is that they legitimize somebody. They legitimize their standing. So if I have somebody come and they speak here, for instance, I am saying, I support this person enough to give them a platform, access to put what they're saying online.
We're dealing with a child rapist. For our city not to say, absolutely not, this will not be tolerated here. Apparently it's inclusive if you are productive in a way that I want.
When asked to explain her intervention in this case, Mayor Backus repeatedly referred to restorative justice.
It is true, I wrote a letter that was encouraging that instead of prison time, he go through counseling, because I am a firm believer in restorative justice.
Notably, Headley himself used this very same phrase when he reached out to this reporter. But restorative justice has a specific meaning in Washington's legal system. KIRO asked the prosecutor's office whether any such process was used. King County prosecuting attorney spokesman Casey McNerney says, no restorative justice on this one. That doesn't typically happen on sex assault cases. When we pressed her on this, Mayor Backus clarified that she was using restorative justice as a general term.
Well, a restoration requires restitution. You have to make it right. We can't just restore the perpetrators. We must restore the community and the individuals.
When asked about this timeline, Mayor Backus expressed regret. She said she would not write the letter today, admitting she was unaware Headley would have to register as a sex offender. The mayor remains adamant she has not spoken to Headley in years. In her response, the mayor finally acknowledged someone her 2022 letter never did, the victim. She wrote, "My heart goes out to the survivor." Headley initially offered to share his, quote, journey in restorative justice with us. So we wrote back, asked for specifics and a recorded interview. He promised to send information this evening. He never followed through. Pastor Lambert, who tells us he warned the mayor before she wrote that letter, was direct in his assessment.
This young lady's pain had just been disremembered because it was more convenient than saying, I was a bad judge of character.
Acknowledging that you made a mistake is a really powerful tool for healing in the community.
For the victim, now in her mid-20s, both pastors offered their support.
That there are people that will stand up and make sure that what was done to her is not considered to be a small or an insignificant thing, and that we will defend her right to be safe.
Within the past 45 days, Sealy Media has been scrubbed from the internet, but public disclosure records show that Sealy Media has continued to receive money, at least until now, from local political campaigns. For years, the victim, now in her mid-20s, has watched as the man who sexually assaulted her continued to be celebrated by Auburn's civic leaders. The victim's words to the courtroom remain relevant today. This case has impacted me by showing me that abusers have more rights than the victims. And the questions remain. Who knew? Who made the call to alert Josh Headley that the media was investigating him? And how many times will a child's safety come second to an adult's connections in the civic community? In Auburn, Charlie Harger, KIRO Newsradio.